Hello, Yvonne. Happy New Year.
Hi, Emmy. Happy New Year. Here we are, 8 days into January already. Dare I say?
Fabulous.
It's amazing,
Uh,
isn't it? So we're a week in, and yeah, it's. I want to say that it's good, and I know that lots of people are thinking, "What is she talking about? Have you looked at the world lately?" But I'm just saying it's good from an internal perspective. How are you doing every 8 days in?
I think I have the same perspective as you. Like, I like to see what I can control in my own life. And it seems like there are a lot of things that I can. And I focus on that for now. I know, as you say, there are a lot of things happening around us, but when were they not? Um, and things develop, evolve, affect us or not. But there is one thing that definitely can affect us, and this is our own behavior, our own way of seeing things, thinking, and let's focus on that.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely. I always like to think of it as a lens. What lens are we using to look at as we look in and out? Because depending on the lens we use depends on what we mirror back to ourselves, what we see back into our lives. And so we need to be really mindful. And that doesn't mean to say that we ignore everything that's going on, doesn't mean to say that the things that are going on aren't important or aren't challenging. It's got nothing to do with that. But for me personally, what I have absolutely learned over the past few years is my ability to lift myself to a different energy, a different vibration changes everything. Doesn't doesn't mean to say that other things fall away. It just means that I am much more capable, um, driven, aware of what I can do to either add value to a situation or move away from a situation. Either way.
But you see, like everything you're saying there is basically taking back your own like control, taking
Yeah,
back strength or putting strength where you can, um,
absolutely.
and managing your life like this. Otherwise, it becomes very overwhelming because everything seems to be driven by other people, other situations, others, and it's all
Yeah,
out there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it is at that point that nothing works because you feel like there is nothing you can do about it.
yeah.
But
Absolutely.
there
That
is that
out of
one thing.
control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And it's not, I know because I'm being a controller, I'm like always talking about control, but it's not in that sense. It's a different thing to like constantly want to have control over everything where we cannot really. But it's different where you take responsibility of where you are at as a person, as a human being, and where you want to be or what you want to achieve, and see what is it that you can do that can lead you there. So this is the power, I think.
absolutely. So let's all take the opportunity to stand in our power, to be
Yeah.
with our power, because we all have that degree, that capacity. With that said, because we do love to have our little warm-up chats, and then we'll get
Yeah.
to what we're talking about this week. So, what we're actually focusing on this week as we start to unpack phrases, language, the stories, the narratives that we've been running on or that have been running us, this week it's all about the waiting game. And yeah, this one definitely rang some bells for me. So, the waiting game is, the narratives that tell us that all around timing and the timing not being right, and I'll do it when at another point in time. And actually, somebody posted yesterday, Mina Yang. Hi, Mina. Just wanted to mention you. She did post under our little post about this live. That usually it has to do with fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of rejection, and so yes, absolutely, all of those things. And sometimes that rejection is our own rejection of self, much less anybody else's rejection, and just being really aware of that. And so the first phrase that we're going to look at is this timing isn't right, or the timing isn't right.
And like, I think it goes very nicely as we come in the new year. And because like, it seems like when we are in the process of coming in the new year, we think, okay, and that's exactly when I'm going to do everything. And of course, by the end of January, everything falls apart, right? Most of the time. But I also think that this ties in very nicely with what we were discussing earlier. You might feel that the timing isn't right because the world is falling apart. So what am I doing? How can I do whatever I want to do when everything seems to, work against me, or work against the humanity, or whatever it is that you are involved with, or thinking about. So yeah, the timing isn't right. It has definitely stopped me from doing a lot of things in my life. I want to ask a question though, and the question that I ask these days is like, okay, yeah, the timing isn't right. So when is the timing right? Because if you turn that on its head, you will realize the timing is never right if you let it. And I have seen that
It's such an
happen.
interesting one, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
the timing isn't right. Because for so many of the things that we might want to do, and I'm not going to say achieve, but things that we might want to do, places we might want to visit, people we might want to see, the timing isn't right. We could always find reasons why the timing isn't right. How many reasons can we find for the timing is right, even if it doesn't feel right now? And also understand that if something isn't right, chances are it won't occur anyway.
Yep.
Like if the timing really isn't right and you pursue, chances are it won't happen, whatever it is. So this opportunity to kind of let go of that narrative, and this for me, when I was in high avoider state, when that story was running true and deep for me, this was a phrase that I probably cling to. Oh, I won't do that because the timing isn't right. Oh, that's not happening because the timing isn't right. Oh, if I just leave that till then because it'll be better then than now. How did I know that? I didn't know what was going to be happening in a month's time or 6 months' time. I had no idea. And yet it just seemed okay to just push it to then because now isn't right. And really that was for me what was probably playing out was a bit of the fear of the unknown, bit of fear of failure, depending on the situation. Um, and sometimes, yeah, just feeling unsure about my own capabilities, worth, value in those moments. I can look back and see that. Didn't, in the moment, at the times, that's not what was coming up for me. Or that's not what I was even trying to look for, right? It was just that it just wasn't right. Um, but as I look now and as I think about that, you know, what I was really saying is I need to only do these things when I'm certain they're going to have a particular outcome. I'm certain that this thing is going to go this way that I want it to go. How often does that happen? I mean, that in and of itself is like, how often does that happen? Not often in my life, right?
That's the thing. And it is like, when you say the timing is not right, you are predetermining an outcome, right? That's the reason why the timing is not right. Because if it was right, then something else would have happened or whatever. But the thing is that by saying all this phrase or something along those lines,
Mm.
you're also stopping yourself from getting to the right time in a way. So what I mean by that is that because we don't know what the outcome is going to be, we know what we would like the outcome to be. By just being in motion, and I love that you said it earlier, Yvonne, not that really staying and waiting, but just being in motion gives you the opportunity to navigate those moments of uncertainty. Say, okay, it might not be right for this, but will be right for that, or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm moving towards what I want, and it doesn't matter what's going on around me. And when that happens, then you open up doors. You create opportunities, and eventually the timing will feel right because things will be happening and will be there's going to be flow in the things that we do that I think that is what we're missing when we're saying, oh no, I can't do that. It sort of stops everything that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also simply that acceptance that uncertainty is part and parcel. If we wait for everything, if we wait to be certain about everything, boy, what a long, hard
Wait.
slog wait that is. Every time we want something, we're going to wait until we're absolutely certain before we make a move. And, or, before we kind of really put ourselves into it. And we are the creators. So we have to create the right time. We
Mhm.
have to decide, it may feel a bit uncomfortable here, it feels a little bit unsettled, but I'm still willing to do the first step of whatever this thing is, and let's just see what happens. So for me, it's also a little bit of that time that we get to learn to let go, and I'm going to use the word surrender, and it's a little bit of that surrendering of it has to be exactly like this and it must go exactly like this and all the steps must fall into this place in order for that thing to happen. Because the thing that happens, whatever that is that we're moving towards, can happen in many different ways. So
Oh,
who
yeah.
are we to decide that certain path is the one and only path, really? And that this for me is like thinking, there is a bigger power beyond us that kind of has all that rooted out. So actually for me now it's that ability to surrender to uncertainty and just feel like it's another phase that I need to move through, a bit like being uncomfortable. Um, and I will, if nothing else, I'll learn something. If nothing else, even if at the end of it I don't feel I've moved closer to the thing, I will have learned something, which already means I moved closer to something, right?
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
you see, I like the way that you're putting it, and it feels as if there is an oxymoron there because we are talking about control and surrender in the same sentence in essence. And the truth is that you are taking control by surrendering and allowing things to happen the way they will happen while you are in motion, while you are taking control, while you are doing things and getting where you have that vision of like want to be.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how. This is again coming back to this big discussion about the how is the the, the the worst thing you have to like keep thinking about. The how will get sorted if you are in this motion, if you are allowing things to un like I won't say unravel, I think it's the wrong word here, but to
Unfold.
happen. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
I find it very interesting how the words um, can help us with moving forward.
And well, this comes down to the language. So again, if we think about stories, narratives that we hold in our bodies that have been playing out because we've been told them, they've been planted like seeds, and they just keep on playing out even without us consciously knowing that they're playing out. That when we start to recognize them and we start to take actions and we start to unpack them or reposition them, that we also do that through the language, not just through our behaviors. We change the language that we use because that is also an energy, a force that helps us to look at things differently and experience things differently. So for me, like, the timing isn't right. I can't even imagine when I would use that, even if I was thinking, oh, this thing needs to happen, and maybe it's not for me to do today, but the language that I would use would not be, it isn't the right time. That's not what I would be saying, or the timing isn't right. I'll just be saying, I'm just going to set that aside and I'll come back to it whilst I do this thing. So the language is just completely different. Thus, the feeling is different.
Yep.
Thus, my behaviors are different. Thus, the outcome is different.
And like, okay, also there is another question there. If the timing is not right, why are you thinking about it?
Mm.
Why did this thing come to you? Like, because sometimes, we have these ideas, we are um so like things are like showing up for us, and we just dismiss them because the timing is not right. But why? The question, it's like, why don't we ask questions? Why do we just let the narrative or um the way that, those things to just run our system rather than us running them? That's what the question is here.
Yeah. And we kind of know the answer to that because more often than not, these patterns are old. They are old, they are embedded, they can be through culture, they can be through ancestry, they can be through, people who we looked up to or we were told to look up to. All of those things are so deeply ingrained, and it is fascinating. I find it fascinating that even as a woman of 60, I still think, oh my gosh, how did that pattern run for so long? How? And how was I not aware enough to recognize that that was happening? Well, you don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know, and then when you start to find out, and you just like, oh, now of course you become aware of patterns, and you kind of like, oh, okay, I always seem to, or more often than not, I do that when, or I often say that when. Okay, let me just check in with that. What's the reality of that? Or am I just caught on a pattern that I need to be aware of and start to work
Mhm.
with that?
But this only happens when you are aware, when you like, I think, and like when we start working with the myths, then we start questioning other things, because we are all run by patterns, and it's not going to stop just because we said so in like 5 minutes. There are so many things that are running us, and there are so many things that we are responding to without realizing why
Yeah.
we respond in a certain way. So it is a lifetime's work, worth
Yes,
of work, basically. And
it is.
it is nice that we can see that, we can be aware of that, and be committed to do the work without the judgment, of course.
Absolutely. And I think this is something that I wanted to point out actually, as Mina was saying about fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of rejection, that there is no blame, there is no shame. It's that when we have the opportunity to raise that awareness, even just being aware, even without doing anything about it, just being aware helps us to level up for ourselves. Even if, like, okay, I'm aware of it, but this pattern ain't going to stop tomorrow, that's okay. but you have an awareness of it now. So guess that allows you to do something over a period of time so that you can start to change the pattern and have more patterns that are supportive, more patterns that, kind of bring you joy, more patterns that help you to understand the brilliance that you're pouring into the world, and not lots of patterns that are draining you and pulling you away from the very things that you're hoping, trying, looking to achieve or experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Okay.
this can take us to the next phrase. And that also rings, like true with me, because I have used it in the past, of course. It's I'll do it when so and so or when X happens. And again, like how do you know that it's going to happen? So it can like give you that threshold of the change. How do you know? And
Yeah.
and why does it have to be that? Why can't it be something else that will appear without like possibly without you even realizing? So it is yet one of those limiting things that we're telling ourselves, and again that X never happens. And we are like, that's why I haven't done so and so, because
Yeah. I Yeah, I mean, this one again rings so true for me. I'll do it when X happens, and as a parent, I'll do that when my son is this, or I'll do that when my children have gone there, or all of those things that we say, and we have to think. Hold on a moment. What we don't even know what tomorrow's bringing.
Mhm.
What's 6 months? What's a year? What's 5 years? We don't know. So I think more importantly is this thing that I am telling myself needs to wait. How important is it? Is it truly important? Because if it is, I need to start doing something about it now. I may not do the whole of it now, but I need to do something about it now. Because that constant putting it off, we push it away, you push it away, you push it away until you forget about it, or it becomes like that thing that haunts every dream that you have. It's constantly there, and yet you're still trying to push it away. And that for me is what we need to be aware of. What is it? I'll travel when my kids have left home and when they've got their own families. Really? Do you need to wait for that to happen before you travel? What are the other possibilities to make that something, when I say more immediate, I don't necessarily mean right today, but more immediate than some time off in the future? What might need to happen? Who might you need to surround yourself with? What resources are available? Much
That's
more
the thing.
present.
I think this talks a lot to scarcity in a way, um, because we don't often understand how resourced we are, or we don't, like take the time to consider alternatives, because it's easier in a way to just say, okay, I won't push the comfort zone barriers. I'll just stay here. Unfortunately, this is what I was dealt with, and what can I do? I'll have to wait until X happens, and we'll see. So again, I believe that this talks a lot to the victim
Yeah,
um, mentality when we're talking about not victim mentality. Sorry, that might be not taken in the wrong context. But within positive intelligence, what we call the victim, um, somebody that feels that okay, I cannot do it. Other people possibly can, but I can't because my circumstances are not right.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it goes back to what we kind of said before. You know, if we're constantly waiting for the perfect conditions, we are all in for very long waits because I don't even know what the perfect conditions are. Because even when we have a set of conditions that probably reassure us that now is okay, we're now looking for some other marker to make sure it's really okay. Do you know what I mean? So that is just constantly, that constantly gets pushed out. So there comes a point where we are invited to, and this is an, and it's always for me about an invitation that once we have the awareness, it's an invitation to think, well, if I am aware that I have been waiting for the right conditions for so many things before I have even dared to do anything about it, today, maybe I'm going to give myself permission to dare to do something about something without knowing that the conditions are right. I'm just going to I'm going to give myself permission to dare to do, and do it and see what happens. Because if the world doesn't collapse, and I'm pretty certain it won't, that guess what? You can do a little bit more of that, and you can do a little bit more of that, and you know, and I want to be really kind of compassionate about this and honest about this. That it doesn't. It's not. There's no quick fix here. This is not. Today I thought this, tomorrow I think that, and now everything's changed, and here we go. Because so many of those patterns are deep within us. They are so automatic
Yeah,
that we are literally having to re-educate, retrain our responses, both our internal responses as well as our external ones, to change that direction, that way of being. It, you know, it hasn't, you know, gosh, I can say hand on heart. There's so many of my thoughts and behaviours have absolutely changed for, and when I say for the better, I mean they are upgraded. I can just feel and think through things in such a different way now. But I've been coaching for 15 years, and most of that coaching has been me first, me the guinea pig, test drive, figure stuff out, how what works, what doesn't for me, and then being able to share that with others and seeing what works for them, right? So it's not a quick fix, and then it's a lifelong engagement.
absolutely. It's a long commitment, but you know, what is a better investment than investing in you, in your own development? We spend all our lives with ourselves, right? So we may as well look after ourselves and give ourselves permission to develop, to change, to get evidence that things can happen differently. Because I think what keeps us where we are without and a little bit immobile in a way is that we tend to look for the evidence, and we can find any type of evidence that we want. But what about creating evidence from here on more consciously to see whether things work or not work? And to me, this is like it's hard work, but it's worth it because, as you said, okay, so far we worked the way we worked, or we thought the way we thought. But like, what if we challenged ourselves just for 1 second, very consciously, to to change that thought pattern, even for a little while, to see what happens? And if the world doesn't collapse, then let's do a little bit more and see what happens.
Absolutely.
Because when you do it with awareness, then you create your own evidence rather than looking back and thinking of all the things that prove to you that you cannot change, or whatever it is that they prove. But they sort of happened without you knowing that it was, it
Exactly.
was happening at the time. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's what I love about positive intelligence. Like it sort of brings that mirror in your face, and say, okay,
Yeah.
let's see now what we can do.
And the beauty, it does it without judgment. So, and I
Yeah,
come back to this time and time again because the minute we start feeling judgment, the minute we start to blame, the minute we start feeling shame or guilt, that just throws us back into those patterns because those patterns feel safe. They throw us back. So as we as we explore the possibilities of reframing, changing, repositioning, doing things differently, it's to be done with that sense of exploration, creativity, playfulness. Yeah, if it figures out, it figures out. If it doesn't, it's okay. It doesn't matter. And if I fall back into the old pattern, I don't have to berate myself and tell myself what an awful human being I am. It's just like, okay, I was almost told that this is likely to happen. It's all good. And then I go again. So, I want us to, this whole myth busting is so that we can hold that mirror up, as you said, and just like, yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I tell myself on a daily basis, but doing it without a sense of, and that makes me a bad person or a bad human being. It's just like, I see where that plays out for me. And what can I do to challenge that? What can I do that will help me not keep on repeating that? Because I am choosing to not want to keep on doing that. And that's the choice also.
true. But,
Yeah.
but like everything, it needs awareness and it needs patience and consistency.
Yes.
And the good thing is that we can all do it. We can all get to that different level of vibration, as you say, Yvonne, as you said in the beginning. Um, and I know sometimes I find like when somebody talks about vibration, like what exactly is that? Because it's not tangible. It's like not, but it doesn't have to be um very difficult. It just has to be like it's a choice of thought. Basically, that's what the new vibration is. And when you think in that level, or when you change your thinking, then you potentially elevating yourself to a different vibration, showing yourself the potential. And when you have potential, well, sky is the limit, right? Um, so yeah, let's just see the potential. I think that is an
Yeah.
important message.
Absolutely. And, I think just to kind of wrap this one up, the waiting game, we can wait. I mean, of course we can wait, and uh, we have the choice to wait. The question is, why am I waiting and what am I waiting for? What are those perfect conditions that I'm waiting for before I'm willing to do the things that I am either being called to do? So this like sometimes it's like you're being literally called to do this thing and you're suppressing it and pressing it down, or that I choose, I desire, I'd love to do. You know, what is it that is truly preventing that? And not always thinking it's about the time, because time is just an easy thing to put it on. The timing isn't right, but actually to say, if this is truly important to me, what part of it can I do now? Where can I get started with it now? Even if things around me show me that there's no way I can do all of that right at this moment in time, where can I start? And just begin. Just
Yeah,
begin. Yeah,
yeah,
fabulous.
absolutely.
Okay. And with that, I'm going to say now is the right time for us to stop.
Yes, it
And
is.
yeah, and as always, we kind of invite you to leave comments, any thoughts, anything that may have come up for you or comes up for you from listening to this live or watching it on replay. We always love that interaction and very thankful for it. With that said, we are here, Permission to Thrive, really to help you break free from the stories, the narratives that keep you caged.
With grace not grind.
100%.
Been lovely, Yvonne. Let's
Always
have
a
a
pleasure.
fabulous 2026, full of wonder.
Yes, and
And same
joy.
wishes to all and absolute joy. Yes.
Thank you so much, Evie.
Thank you. Thank you.